All right, everybody, welcome to the Fantasy Sports Boss Fantasy Football Podcast. It is Tuesday, July 25th, 2023, and the wide receiver position in fantasy football is already in flux. Now, if you're new to the channel, before I go any further, make sure you hit that subscribe, the notification, and like button. The podcasts have been coming hot and heavy on almost a daily basis. I've been trying to put out as many as I could. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback on them. In addition to all the regular, breaking news, injury videos, and the player profiles and all that stuff, plus the live stream. Had a live stream yesterday. I thought went very well. So thank you for those who joined me. But again, if you want to be part of the fun, just hit that subscribe button, and also the like button on the video will help me out as well. So the wide receiver position, two big storylines today. One, you have early this morning, we woke up to the news that Saquon Barkley has ended his holdout. Really, he ended it before it really began, because the Giants, their first on-field work is today, and report was yesterday. And he signs a deal for 1 year, $11 million. Now, is there an agreement under the table that the Giants won't tag Barkley next season? That's certainly possible, but the big news here is that Barkley is returning to the team at the age of 26, coming off his best season since he was a rookie. And so, his late first round ADP and PPR leagues, that will stay. He might even jog that up to the mid first round, right there with Bijan Robinson. I mean, those two guys are kind of going right around each other in the middle of the first round. So I think Barkley now is safe, certainly much safer than he was the other day in terms of investment. Josh Jacobs, meanwhile, has left the area. He boarded a plane yesterday talking about the Las Vegas Raiders, so we don't know his situation going forward. So not only is he still holding out, but coming off at 370, the curse of the 370 touch season, we definitely want to tread carefully when it comes to Josh Jacobs. Now, in terms of Saquon Barkley, so a lot has been made about Barkley. Well, a couple of things on him. One, that he's still chasing his rookie performance when he absolutely went ballistic, both running and catching the football. He was a true, absolute slam dunk, PPR, dynamo, gem, whatever you want to call it. And he hasn't approached those numbers since, all right? So just going back to that rookie season, he caught 91 passes for 721 yards and 4 scores, plus averaged 5 a carry, 1,307 yards on the ground. Whether you agree or disagree with Dave Gettleman making him the number 2 pick in the entire draft ahead of Josh Allen, that's a whole nother argument. But in fantasy football, Barkley was an absolute slam dunk stud. Then 2019 happens, then the injuries show up. 2020, torn ACL, 2021, ankle problems, and it wasn't until last season where Barkley got back on track. He did only average 4.4 a carry, which is well down from the 5 he had as a rookie. 1,312 yards, though, was a career high. 10 touchdowns on the ground, 57 catches, the second highest total of his career. So, as somebody who has seen every single Barkley start, every single carry, touch, as yours truly, being here in New York as a Giants fan, there's a few things I can tell you about Barkley. One is that he has lost like half a step since he was a rookie. The torn ACL, no doubt, took some explosiveness from his game. He does not have that instant acceleration that he had as a rookie. All right. Now, his yards per carry average bear this out. He's 4.5 for his career, but he was 5 as a rookie. And then 4.6 in 2019. The ACL was 2020, came back in 2021, only 3.7. Last year, 4.4. Now, I know the Giants' offensive line hasn't been great, although it was good last season. Rated out pretty good. I mean, they had the best tackle in football in Andrew Thomas, according to Pro Football Focus, or maybe the number 2 tackle. He was first or second. They drafted the kid out of Alabama for right tackle. If you just watch him, he's not that top shelf runner, explosive runner that he was as a rookie. And then also when it comes to the reception, so 100 target. How many targets did he have? He was 121 targets as a rookie. All right, last season 76. I think the ceiling for Saquon Barkley in terms of targets is around 80. So he's not going back to those 91 catches. It's not happening. This Brian Dable offense, they did bring in a lot of pass catchers in the offseason. I mean, a slew of them. Darren Waller, the biggest one via trade. They signed Paris Campbell. They re-signed Darius Slayton. They signed Jamison Crowder. They're welcoming back from injury Wan'Dale Robinson. They brought back Sterling Shepard. The list goes on and on. They signed Cole Beasley. A lot of slot guys. They still have Isaiah Hodgins, who, remember, that was the guy I told you to pick up second half of last season. He scored touchdowns in like 4 out of 5 games down the stretch. So the Giants got a lot of guys to throw the ball to all of a sudden. So Saquon Barkley, he's not going back to those 90 catches. So when you grade him out this season, you can't grade him on 2018. Your best course of action is really to just put that performance out of your head forever. It's not coming back. But can he rush for 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns? Absolutely, no doubt. Can he catch 50 plus passes? I think he will. So in that sense, yes, the injury factor ramps up, as it always does with Barkley, who just couldn't stay on the field for 3 straight seasons. He's 26 years old. Lacking the tread, he has more tread, I should say, on the tires than other, guys like a Derrick Henry at this same stage of his career, because he's missed a lot of time. I mean, let's face it, 2020 was almost a complete washout, and then missing time in 19 and 21 as well. But again, the big news here, Barkley's back. He's in the fold, and now we just focus on Josh Jacobs in terms of what his situation is. Jacobs right now is going as a mid-second round pick. I think that might fall to the end of round 2, especially if he holds out this summer, may even sneak into the beginning of round 3. So that's the situation there with Josh Jacobs. Now, let's get to the wide receivers, because all of a sudden this is a mess. All right, so I just posted the video, my reaction video, the breaking news video, that Kadarius Toney had a cleanup cartilage repair in his knee. Couldn't even make it through the first workout, fielding punts on Sunday, injures the knee, has the surgery. Andy Reid, who is very, his lack of forthcoming when it comes to injuries, you always have to take into account, says he could be back week 1. That to me is code for he's not going to be ready for week 1. Listen, same old story with this guy. He's a complete joke. He can't ever stay healthy. Enough. Stop chasing him. Just enough. And listen, to the people that say don't take Travis Kelce in the first round, the targets are going to be insane. The rest of the options for this Kansas City Chiefs passing game are not great. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, once in a blue moon, he pops off. He'll have that 5 catch for 150-yard 2 touchdown game once every 5 or 6 games, right? Then you have Sky Moore, who is brutal as a rookie. The limited receptions, awful returning the ball, fumbles all over the place. He was terrible. All right. Now, he has every right to improve. His second-year player. All right. He was drafted, second round for a reason. So he has the upside to be solid this season. So I wouldn't chase him, but if he fell to me, then I'm okay with that. Rashee Rice. So Rashee Rice is somebody that we have to be aware of, because he's a second-round draft pick as well, just like Sky Moore was. And, there's a little bit of an unknown on Rashee Rice. He made some big plays in college. He has ability. I mean, he's a second-round pick for sure. But, again, this is not an easy offense to learn. All right? It is not. We saw with Sky Moore last season, it took him a while to really pick up the offense, and he was left behind. So Rashee Rice, asking him to be that guy right away, it's asking a lot. Hence, I bring up Richie James. So Richie James, guys, I sound like a broken record, and I really am sorry, but nobody's listening to me. His ADP is insane. He's not getting drafted in the majority of leagues. He did some time with the San Francisco 49ers, caught 23 passes in 2020. But last year with the Giants, 57 catches for 569. He caught over 80% of the balls thrown his direction, which is a tremendous number. He gets instant separation out of the slot. Average 10 per reception and 4 touchdowns. So, yes, he was with the Giants for 17 games, but he really didn't start playing with them, I would say, until like October through the end of the season. So Richie James did a lot of positive work in a short amount of time. again, they need somebody else to catch the football, right? Travis Kelce is going to get blanket coverage. As great as he is at finding the open seam, they need somebody else. And to me, Richie James is a guy I hope, it's kind of like a self-defeating prophecy for me because I keep hyping him up and I'm hoping to steal Richie James really late in all my drafts. So if I keep talking about him, I'm going to, screw myself, but I just can't help it. He's being severely overlooked. So, that's the guy that you got to target, no doubt about it. And listen, Jerick McKinnon, he's going to catch 50 passes at least, all right? They brought him back, and they're going to need him. And here's the thing, too. If you're trying to, listen, and this leads me into the next segment I wanted to talk about today. How do we decide between drafting Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Jalen Hurts? All right, so all three of those guys, I had my sheet here somewhere. All right, so all three of these guys are obviously being drafted one ahead of the other, all right? I believe, let me check the up-to-date ADPs on these guys. But when I talk about the top-tier quarterbacks, it's these three guys, all right? And there's no disagreement on it. The next tier is just Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow, and then the next tier after that is your Justin Fields, your Justin Herbert, and your Trevor Lawrence. Then another tier 4 is Deshaun Watson. So right now, up-to-date, Patrick Mahomes is the first quarterback off the board, and Josh Allen second, Jalen Hurts is third. That's in ESPN and in Yahoo. All right, so that's the consensus. But here's the thing. Jalen Hurts last season outscored both Mahomes and Allen on a per-game basis. Jalen Hurts missed time with injury towards the end of the season, and that kind of skewed things a little bit. But I have to tell you that it is a puzzle for me trying to figure out which guy to draft in front of the other. All right. However you want to group that and you try to present that to me, I'll have no problem with it. You could put any three of those guys first and I have no problem with it. Let's start with Jalen Hurts. So here's the thing with Jalen Hurts. All right. The positives. All right. The best running quarterback this side of Lamar Jackson. All right. So the last couple of years now, he's been an absolute monster running the football. 784 and 760 the last 2 years running the football. 10 and 13 touchdowns. That is massive. The 13 rushing touchdowns last year, absolutely massive. Combining that with the 22 passing scores. So the big thing for Hurts going into last season, he had to take that next step as a passer, and he did that. A 22-6 split in touchdown and interceptions, 3,701 yards. 66% completion rate. That's up 5 from the previous year. He threw great in the Super Bowl. He was unbelievable. Was the MVP if the Eagles would have pulled that off. And he was phenomenal. There's no doubt about it. And again, Lamar Jackson, is he going to run as much this year? We don't know. Justin Fields is going to be the best running quarterback, depending on if Anthony Richardson gets on the field. But then you could say Jalen Hurts is probably number 3. All right? And they're not going to change this offense that much, even with the new coordinator coming in. So you're looking, 35 total touchdowns last season. You're looking around that number again this year. If he throws 25 touchdowns and jogs the rushing back to 10, same thing. All right? Now, and the just the potency of the offense. You talk about receivers. Jalen Hurts has the best receivers of the 3 guys. All right, AJ Brown and Devontae Smith to go along with Dallas Goedert. Right there, that's the advantage over the other 2 for Jalen Hurts. So that is a check mark. Let's keep track of this. So Jalen Hurts, check mark with the offensive contribution in terms of supporting cast. I'm giving him the check mark in rushing as well, all right, over Josh Allen, because I think Josh Allen's going to dial that back slightly this season, all right? So that's 2 check marks right there. Now, let's take a look at the playoff schedule, all right, because I always like to do this. Now, you could say, all right, you don't know what the defenses are going to do, right? It's still too early to start grading defenses and whatnot, and that's true, but it's never too early to start looking at who's playing who in the winter, right? So, and when the fantasy playoff weeks arrive. So the playoff weeks for for Philadelphia, the wild card game or the first round of your fantasy playoffs, they're going to be at Seattle. So there might be some rain there, but no winter weather, right? Then in the semifinals, they're home versus the Giants. So definitely potential for wind rain, snow, whatnot. And then the finale is against Arizona at home. So another potential ill forecast. So I'm giving them 1 positive and 2 negatives for the playoff slate. Now, what concerns me too about this final game against Arizona, Kyler Murray will be back, right? You have to hope that the Cardinals make this a competitive game, because if not, if the Eagles are blowing them out, they're going to dial it back with Hurts. All right? I mean, the division is probably, may very well be clinched by this point. So will the Eagles have much to play for? Now they do have the Giants 2 of their last 3 games. So if the Giants are competitive, then the division will still be up for grabs. But if not, and the Eagles are, sitting there with the division clinched already, they're playing a team that they'll probably dominate, get up on early. Will Jalen Hurts be throwing the ball or really doing much of anything in the second half? So you do have to worry about that. It's not the best playoff schedule. Let's just put it that way. All right. So, not loving that playoff schedule. So now let me pull up Josh Allen. All right. Now, the thing with Josh Allen is, so we give Hurts 2 pluses, and I forgot to mention, I'm giving Hurts a negative on durability. He missed 2 games last season. He's a small quarter. He's the smallest quarterback here out of these 3 guys. So you have to give him a negative on that. So the schedule, I would say, is neutral. 2 pluses for the supporting cast, the rushing ability, and 1 for negative for durability. So I say he's +1. All right. Now, Josh Allen, supporting cast is good, not great. Stephon Diggs, all-world receiver, no doubt about it. But you could make the case that A.J. Brown is just as good. Gabe Davis, not as good as Devontae Smith. Dawson Knox, not as good as Dallas Goedert. Now, Dalton Kincaid could be the wild card here that can skew this back in Buffalo's favor. But given the struggles of rookie tight ends, we're not going to make that assumption. Okay? The durability, no doubt, is a plus. All right? So we'll give him that. The running aspect of it, yes, he has that advantage over Mahomes. Allen has run for 763 and 762 the last 2 seasons. He's been 400 plus in all 5 of his seasons. 7 touchdowns on the ground, still behind Hurts. 6 and then 9, 6 and 7 the last 2 seasons. Hurts had, I think it was 9 and 13. But the passing scores are insane, no doubt about it. Now, let's take a look at the playoff schedule for Buffalo. All right. In the fantasy semis, they're home versus Dallas. That's going to be an absolute shootout, but it could be in bad weather. Then semis at Los Angeles. Old habits die hard. Los Angeles Chargers. So beautiful weather, hopefully, right? So that has a major potential for a shootout. Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, points aplenty. That has got potential shootout all over. And then the last game, home versus New England. I don't love that matchup because you have a run-based Bill Belichick. You have a run-based offense and a Bill Belichick defense. That's a scary matchup for Josh Allen. So I would say 2 pluses and 1 negative on that schedule. All right? But Allen has a durability over Hurts. His rushing yards are still good, although he's going to dial it back. And the playoff schedule has shootout galore on it. Dallas and LA. Before that New England game, I'm not too keen on that outing for sure. Now, Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is last in this bunch when it comes to supporting cast. All right? Just pulling up his numbers now. Listen, he's got the best tight end in football by a mile. All right? There's no doubt about that in Travis Kelce. But especially with Kadarius Toney already hurt, the rest of the supporting cast is not good. They lost Mecole Hardman in free agency. They lost Juju Smith-Schuster in free agency. So all of a sudden, this is not looking like a good receiving group altogether. I do like I said, Richie James. But, I mean, let's face it, Richie James is nobody's definition of a star. He's like a supporting player. All right? So there is concern here for Pat Mahomes in terms of supporting cast. He has the weakest supporting cast overall. So out of the 3 quarterbacks, so he gets a negative there. Durability definitely favors him over Jalen Hurts. There's no doubt about it. Both Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes are favored over Jalen Hurts. There's no doubt about it. So let me just see here. Kansas City Chiefs schedule. Let me see what the Chiefs have in terms of their schedule. All right. Let's see. So why can't I get a Chiefs schedule here? All right. You know, nothing's ever easy, right? All right. I don't care about parking. All right. Well, while I try to find this. So, with Mahomes being the number 1 guy, you definitely can make the case that that Jalen Hurts should be going ahead of both of these guys. All right. Again, it was on a per game basis that Hurts was better than both of them. He's got the best supporting cast out of all of them. He's got the best running game out of all of them. So Hurts has 3 key advantages over both guys. His playoff schedule, not as good as Josh Allen's. All right? There's no doubt about it. It's not as good as Josh Allen's. All right? You know, the Buffalo playoff schedule has a lot of potential. All right, here it is. Kansas City. Let me look at the Chiefs because I don't have the schedule memorized. All right, so for the fantasy football wild card round for Kansas City, they're at New England. Again, New England's just pissing me off. I hate going against New England because 2 things. You have Belichick there, and you have him running the clock constantly with the running game, keeping the other offense off the field. So I hate that. Then the Chiefs are home to Las Vegas and are home to Cincinnati. So that's much more attractive. All right, both defenses, LA and Cincinnati, nothing to write home about. Shootout potential with the Bengals. You know, is Jimmy Garoppolo going to be healthy by this point? He's always hurt. How bad are the Raiders going to be? I really don't like 2 of those matchups, New England and Las Vegas, because again, we want to have shootouts. So Josh Allen has the best potential matchups in Dallas and LA because he's going to have to keep throwing it to keep up with those 2 high-end offenses. Pat Mahomes is facing 2 horrible offenses in New England and Las Vegas. Don't give me Las Vegas with Josh Jacobs, who may not even play or may shut it down early by this point. Devontae Adams, great talent, but he doesn't have a quarterback that's going to get him the ball down the field, so it's going to neuter him to a certain degree. Cincinnati, no issues there. That's going to be a shootout as well in the Fantasy Football Championship. So, again, Allen and Hurts have the better playoff schedule. Both guys have better supporting cast than Mahomes. I'll give Allen and Mahomes the durability over Hurts, no doubt, but Hurts has everything else. He's got the better running game. As far as him picking up rushing yards, he's got the better offensive supporting cast in both guys. I think he's got a solid playoff schedule. Giants defense is not good. Arizona's defense is terrible. That last game is a little scary if they have to shut it down early with blowing out Arizona. But Seattle, and that's another defense that's not that great. Listen, I did a mock draft the other day. I took Jalen Hurts over both of those guys. And that's where I'm leaning. I think I really truly am leaning Jalen Hurts. Listen, I'm not taking anything away from both guys. And the durability factor is huge. But put that aside, and that is a big factor, no doubt about it. You put away the durability issue with Jalen Hurts, everything else comes up in his favor. All right, he's getting even better as a passer. If he throws 25 touchdowns this year with all those rushing scores, I mean, again, he outscored Mahomes last season on a per-game basis. So Mahomes led the position in points, but, Hurts was better on a per-game basis. So that's how I'm leading. I mean, let me know what you guys think. Post it in the... I want to get a discussion going on this. Listen, I'm not going to argue anybody. This is not a debate. So, I respect everybody who wants Mahomes or Allen. I'm fine with that. But the more upside, who's got upside? Jalen Hurts does. I don't think Josh Allen has any more upside. As a matter of fact, if he dials back to rushing, he's going to go down in overall impact. Pat Mahomes doesn't have any more upside. He's already a gem. He's already the best quarterback in football. But that supporting cast is scary. There's going to come a point where that's going to catch up with him at least a little bit and take a little bit of a hit out of his numbers. So to me, Hurts is the balls to the wall, go for broke. That's the guy who can break the quarterback position this season in fantasy football. So let me know what you think. Post it in the comments. I really would like to get some discussion going on that. All right. So getting back to some of the news of the day, how about this one? Jimmy Graham is back with the New Orleans Saints. So Jimmy Graham, back where it all started, where he became a 90 catch, and he really started, well, him and Antonio Gates really are the ones who brought the basketball background to the tight end position and really ushered in a new era for the position. The athletic freak, who didn't even have to play high school or college football. You know, Tony Gonzalez was another guy. You know, some more recent, David Njoku, Jelani Woods. So, what does this mean for Jimmy Graham? Well, he's not going to do anything. This is not the old Jimmy Graham under Sean Payton. But this does remove Taysom Hill for me completely from my tight end rankings. I mean, I was already lukewarm on him just because now they have a quarterback in Derek Carr that can move the football. They don't need to rely on Hill as much. So while Taysom Hill was fun last season, and Taysom Hill more than almost anything put my channel on the map last year, because the Taysom Hill videos I posted last season got more views than anything by far. Other than the breaking injury news, Taysom Hill stuff got more views than anything. But I think Jimmy Graham kind of hurts him. All right. And sticking with the Saints, Michael Thomas has no restrictions. That's the report right now. He had restrictions last summer. And listen, Michael Thomas, I mean, he's an injury waiting to happen. And I really like Michael Thomas. So I was one of those guys who had Michael Thomas when he went ape shit crazy earlier in his career. I had him the year he caught 149 passes. It was the greatest fucking thing ever. Anybody who owned Michael Thomas in 2019, it was awesome. It was insane. This guy was just a video game of numbers every single week. It was comical how good he was. Even the year before that, 125 catches. 104 as a sophomore in the NFL. 92 as a rookie. Those were his catches. It was insane. But 2020 only played 7 games. 2021 I missed the entire year. Ankle issues, nonstop. Last year, toe, ankle, foot, only played in 3 games. Now, in those 3 games, he caught 16 passes and netted 22 targets. So that's more than 7 targets a game in 3 games, and he scored 3 touchdowns. And now he gets Derek Carr, who's a really solid, underrated quarterback. Now, I posted my morning thought today. It was on Chris Olave. I think Chris Olave is going to explode. He could have a Davante Adams light season. 2022 Davante Adams light season with the New Orleans Saints this year with Derek Carr at quarterback. But it is a limited target tree. Don't give me Rashid Shaheed yet. Juwan Johnson's a nice player, but he's not going to command a lot of targets. It's a restricted target tree. Alvin Kamara is going to miss time with the suspension. Although, like I've been saying, I think it's only going to be 2 games when all is said and done. So he makes for a really good investment. I really like this. This is a very fantasy-friendly team. In Superflex leagues, Derek Carr is good as a quarterback too. Olave, like I said, he's a 3rd-round pick who should be the 2nd-round pick with Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson's getting all the love, but Olave could be just as good, maybe even better. And Michael Thomas, I'm drafting him everywhere in round 10. And I'm loving it. Even if he gives me only 10 games, I think he's going to be good. He's only 30. He's still young. He knows how to separate. He knows how to find the open seam. He knows how to get into the end zone. So, I'm in. No restrictions so far. Let's see if he can get through camp. All right, Jameson Williams has a leg injury. He's going to miss time for the Lions. Of course, he's down the first 6 games already because of the gambling suspension. Man, it's a rough start for this guy. Best receiver coming out 2022, no doubt. Had no issue with the Lions drafting him. I think it was 12th overall. I thought he was the best receiver coming out. Barely played, had the one electric 40-yard catch, had an explosive run on a jet sweep, and he's going to be very good when he's on the field. But clearly, immaturity. He's really battling injuries already in his career. I'm not one that wants to have a dead spot on my bench for 6 games. I don't know when their bye is, so it could be 7 weeks where you don't have him. So I'm not chasing Jameson Williams anywhere. I'm good. I'm good. And Amon-Ra St. Brown today in practice caught like 6 touchdowns, dropped 1 pass, punished himself by going on a jugs machine where he caught 220 in a row. 220. This guy is scary good. I don't know how he lasted to where he did, and I don't know how many receivers were taken ahead of him. I think like 10 or 11 were taken ahead of him. But man, this guy is money in the bank. He is so good. And I know I've compared him to Keenan Allen. I got to see the touchdowns go to the double digits before I'm fully sold on him as a top-end wide receiver one. He already is a low-end wide receiver. I would say a moderate wide receiver one. He's not a low-end. He's a mid-wide out one. The only thing holding him back are the touchdowns. He's got to do it for me to grade him as a top-end wide receiver one. I still take A.J. Brown over him. I still take CeeDee Lamb over him. I don't take Devontae Adams over him. Not with this setup. Nope. Obviously, I take Stephon Diggs over him as well. But yeah, this guy's great. He really is. All right, Rashad Bateman had the Lisfranc surgery last year. He's cortisone shot in June in the foot. I don't like what I'm hearing with Rashad Bateman. He's another one of those guys that can't stay on the field. Zay Flowers is looking like a really, really good investment right now. I'm not paying the 30 ADP of Mark Andrews. I told you it's either Kelsey or nothing, or Waller in round 7 or nothing for me. It's going to be Kelsey, Waller, Freiermuth, stream it. That's how I'm going to do it. I think Freiermuth is round 8 or round 9. Waller's round 7. I think he's creeping up a little bit. But that's how I'm doing tight end. I'm not taking Mark Andrews. Not doing it. Not doing it. Not in the 3rd round. But I don't like what we're hearing with Bateman. So Zay Flowers, while he's short, he's going to be used a lot out of the slot. They're going to use him on jet sweeps. He's explosive. He's got that Tyreek Hill game to him. I'm on board. I think he's going to be really, really, really good. All right, let me check out the news of the day before I move on here. See if there's any news coming out. All right. We talked about, this is from yesterday, Breece Hall. I got to update this. So, yeah, honestly, you don't like to see these guys already, days into camp already dealing with injuries. I mean, that's just the last thing you want. But again, that's why you have your draft as far into the month of August as you could. All right. All right, here's one. Brock Purdy, according to John Lynch, fully cleared with the elbow. He's ready to go. UCL surgery. He's on his way back, barring any setbacks. Purdy will start week 1. So what does this mean? Well, he had a really good thing going with George Kittle last season. Excuse me. 11 touchdowns, George Kittle. Now, that's an outlier total for George Kittle in terms of touchdowns. But he had a really good thing going with Brock Purdy. So, if you're a George Kittle fan, this is good news. If you're a Brandon Ayuk fan, this is good news. If you're a Deebo Samuel fan, okay. Listen, the worst thing that happened to Deebo Samuel was the arrival of Christian McCaffrey. A, because he's a check-down receiver. And a lot of the damage that Deebo did a couple of years ago was the short dump-off passes that he, picked up yards after the catch. And the rushing aspect of his inclusion in the running game as well. That was severely dialed back when McCaffrey came over last year. Plus, they have Elijah Mitchell, one of the best backup running backs in football. I still think you absolutely fade Deebo Samuel. I think he's going around 4, which even that is too high. Brandon Ayuk is a solid wide receiver 3. This is still going to be a very run-heavy offense. There's a lot of mouths to feed in this offense, so you're not going to get a lot of raw receptions from anybody. But Kittle, you know what? He's gonna be around 8 to 10 touchdowns, and he's become a really good force, impactful force with Purdy at quarterback. And Brock Purdy, you know, it was a very dialed down passing game for him. He was learning on the ropes. He was learning the ropes as a rookie quarterback on a team that's a win now team. A lot of pressure on Purdy, but this is good news for him. And in super flex leagues, even you gotta love the supporting cast, no doubt about it. But in a super flex league, I want to try to do a little bit better than my QB2. But anyway, all right, guys, that's all for today. Again, make sure you hit that subscribe button. More videos on the way later. We'll see you later.